Thank you for tuning in to Gain and Glow, a feel-good lifestyle podcast with me, Vanessa.
And me, Crystal.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Surprised to see you here.
Hey, whoa. You're there.
Well, I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. I'm going to start us off, hit and start with a dope quote.
Dope quote.
So, today's dope quote is, "You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step." Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes. Boom. Love that quote. And today, we're going to talk about just that. Not procrastinating, taking the first step, and how we set ourselves up to fail, and then get stuck in the planning stage. We can eventually move out of it.
Yes. The goal is to move forward.
Yes. So, I'm just jumping right into it. You guys ready for some knowledge, experience? We're like exceptionally giggly today, so if that part of our podcast annoys you, this is not the episode.
Yeah.
Also, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is not the podcast for you. All right, let's stop procrastinating. Let's talk about this.
All right.
So I know I normally procrastinate because something's like intimidating, or I look at the whole staircase in a sense, and I'm like overwhelmed for some kind of reason, or something about it makes me uncomfortable.
Absolutely. That is definitely my style too. And I know some people think that, some people do, not that they think that, but that sometimes it's like, I work well under pressure. And it's like, yeah, some people do. And then some people just, I am one of those people that I think I work well under pressure, and it only works about 20% of the time.
Right, I work well under pressure if it's a singular moment. If it's consistent, long-lasting pressure, I start to break after a while.
Yeah, if it's constant projects, I used to do this a lot in school with science projects or big essays or whatever. I'm like, oh no, it's stressing me out. I'll do it later. I'll do it, and I'll sit down and I'll just be cracking at it. But then I can't write a 6-page paper an hour. Sorry, right. I don't give myself enough time to actually complete the project. I just go on, and then I'm I fall asleep. I've fallen asleep at my desk so many times because I straight got a D on a science project because we had to type it out, but I didn't have, my printer wasn't working, so I was straight using oh gosh, what are those things called?
A typewriter?
A typewriter to type out my paper, and I fell asleep. And I only got half of it done, so half of it I wrote in the morning, and he was like, what is this? Only half of it's typed. There's whiteout everywhere. The other half is handwritten. He had a D. I'm not even reading this as a D. And I was like, oh no.
You're technical difficulties, bro. What the heck?
Yeah. I had a lot of things going on. And he's like, well, you should have waited till the day before to, figure out all those problems you had. And I was like,
valid. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. But some people do. Some people can set themselves a time limit and be like, this is the time. But that's kind of a proactive procrastination. You kind of just set yourself up knowing it's really only going to take this much time. And so you allow yourself that much time. Whereas me, I'm I'll just put it off to the day, and then I try to cram it all in, and it's just not going to happen. And it's just stressful. And if you have anxiety, then you're just riding this anxiety wave that whole time.
Oh, gosh.
And it's not fun.
No, and anxiety is half of the battle sometimes in procrastinating, because it's the anxiety of failing, the anxiety of it not working out, or sometimes it's just unexplainable anxiety about doing it. And you're totally right. There's a difference between proactive procrastinating and just straight up waiting until the last minute and full on procrastinating. And it's always that full on procrastinating that's it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point, because you're well, I don't know if I can start it, whatever, I'm going to fail, whatever. And then you literally set yourself up to do exactly that. Not have enough time, feel unprepared. It's get a D because it's halftime. Oh my gosh. I have a hard time siding with the teacher on that one. but I see the point. Proactive procrastination too. I think getting stuck in the planning phase falls into that too.
Yes.
Because there's like these steps that we go through. At least I know there's like steps I go through where I'm procrastinating. And then I'm like, okay, how do I get started? Because most of the time that's the block right there. That's the wall. It's just getting started. It's not actually completing it. It's getting started because you're looking at the end goal. You're not looking at the beginning. And I know I love to start by creating like a game plan. I want to make a list. I'm ready to open up a chart. Excel, hey old friend, let's do this thing.
I do love using Excel.
It's so underrated.
Yeah, I do that. I do that too. And like that, I mean, that is an important thing to do if you are just like having trouble getting started. Normally, I think that happens when you have something big like that you want to accomplish, and you're like, I haven't done this before. I don't know how to do this. I don't even see where to start. I don't know. You just know the end goal. And so it is like important just to take the first step. And that first step could literally just be writing down, what is it that you are trying to accomplish? And then what can you do today? When's the deadline? When does it need to be done? And then list out the steps that you need to take. Just write as many as you think you have down. And then you can just set up like an action plan. And normally the first step is like research.
Yes. Yep. Research.
And
that's
then,
like
set yourself a time limit too. Like schedule it out to like help avoid distractions, because we also are like, we're like people, we choose pleasure over like discipline or possible like any negative feelings. And you've already kind of psyched yourself up for negative feelings because you don't know where to start. So you're a little stressed. And so, kind of putting stuff down on a piece of paper or like an Excel sheet,
yeah,
Microsoft Word doc, can help kind of get that stress off of your mind to begin with. And then you're already taking the action of planning it. And then you can taking action just leads to more action, and you can take it one step at a time. And then also you can reach out, like if you reach out to somebody who can help either keep you on track, like I have this deadline and can you just text me at like noon every day? Like be like, are you working on it?
Yep.
And it's funny because I saw an example online. I think it was Psychology Today, and they were talking about how sometimes you choose to do something productive outside of what you're procrastinating on, so you can feel good that you're still doing something. You're like, well, I'm not doing that, but I'm getting something done. I've like cleaned my room, so. And I was like, that's exactly what I do before I procrastinate. I was like, well, I have to clean my space. I have to get water. Oh, my plants need water. Oh, I need to clean these windows. I open up the blinds now. These windows are dirty. And you just like, and then you feel really good, and then you go right back into like, oh, I am stressed out. Like I haven't even started this thing that I need to start.
And that, I think, is one of the more dangerous spirals, because you're also exhausting some of your motivation and energy on a different task.
Absolutely.
I am so guilty of starting something and not finishing because then it becomes hard, or getting ready to start something, creating a plan, and then diverting my motivation into, like you said, if I'm going to start working and I get like a lot of emails and I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm just overwhelmed because I know these are all different scenarios to problem solve. Well, I need water, I need coffee. So I'm going to go get water and coffee. And then, my kitchen counters are a little bit crummy from yesterday. Let me just wipe those down while the coffee's brewing. And then I better just, you know what? The sink's a little bit full. So before I rinse my water cup, I'm going to just clear the sink out. And next thing I know, I've spiraled. I've completely spiraled in the wrong direction. And then I go back to my original task and I'm like, well, now I'm exhausted. So, I mean,
can't even start this.
Right. This needs to wait. This needs to wait for another time. It's a dangerous game. Another thing I do, though, like I mentioned, is I'll get into the planning phase and then I overplan. And I'm just stuck in this phase of creating plan after plan, and then I go too deep and too, meta, where I'm just like, well, first step needs to be broken out into 6 more steps. And then I find myself, well, I'm very guilty of Pinterest being my immediate, if it's a home type project. Obviously, there's some issues where you're not going to find out on Pinterest. But, let's say I have to fix something or I want to craft something. I go onto Pinterest, and then next thing I know, I've pinned 4,000 things, and none of them are pertaining to the original task any longer.
Yeah. I do that too. I'm like, I need a plan, and then I need to replan, and then...
Mm-hmm. And it's all about turning that plan into motivation, and then using that motivation to actually start. And the best way to do that is to just break it down into, like you said, steps. Just first step, complete that, then the second step. And it's a lot like goal setting. Like we've talked about before, where it's if you have these big, large goals, that's great. Big, large project, that's great. But you also have these smaller stepping stones to get to there that are crucial in actually completing stuff. Yeah.
It's good to plan for where you want to go, what you want to what you want to accomplish, but you have to shift your focus back to the present moment and what you can do right now. And sometimes it's okay, give yourself 5 minutes. Just tell your brain, okay, 5 minutes, start. And then once you get started on something, you're more likely to just keep going with it because you've already gathered your attention and your focus to that thing. And so some things to do too is just turn off your phone and put it away. Or if you have a problem with looking at apps and stuff, just delete those apps for the time being. So you can't. I've done that. And I think it's I think it's a problem of 2020. No, it's a social media thing. It's we get so used to checking all of our apps and all of our notifications and stuff that now that you do it without, and I do it without notification. I've silenced all of my notifications except for my text messages. I've even silenced phone calls because I'm I'm not picking up the phone during my work day. But I'll pick it up to text. Yeah. So, deleting some of those apps for a time, a period of time, or just turning off your phone, putting that away, just putting yourself in the area that you need to be in to, get your stuff done.
Which, that's super important, is creating an environment that is conducive to actually getting stuff done. We have all of these distractions, and I'm guilty too. Oh, I will open up my apps and check them, even though I've also silenced my notifications. I don't need my phone to tell me that I need to check it, because I'm already checking it far too many times during the day, even when I don't want to. It's a subconscious thing. My finger automatically just hits the app, opens it up, and then I'm wait, I don't want to be on this one. I want to be on this one. And putting yourself in a zone of productivity is so important. I know I do that with yoga in the mornings. I'm trying to be really, really good about staying on that one thing as far as wellness, fitness world. I do a lot of other workouts or whatever, but that's the one where I'm okay, I need to build a habit out of this. So this becomes a daily practice. Well, I was procrastinating it a lot because I was doing it in my rec room, which has cement floors, straight up cement floors. And the yoga mat that I have right now, I got it in a FabFitFun box, and I do love it, but it's a foldable travel one, so it's very thin, very, very thin. So on the cement floors, it was so uncomfortable. And I feel like I'm already kind of like sensitive where if it's too hard, it hurts my knees. Like it feels like it pinches my skin. I don't know. I'm a big baby about it. But I kept procrastinating it because I knew I'd have to go in to the cold rec room on the cold cement floor. And I was like, oh, I'm not looking forward to it. So then actually turning my plan of being good every morning and starting my morning well into like actual motivation was being blocked by this issue that I was having with it. And in reality, it was just because I wasn't putting myself in an environment that was conducive to doing. It was more conducive to having reasons not to do. And I think a lot of procrastination revolves around that too, where we might get into it and then some kind of difficulty stops us dead in our tracks. And we've experienced like trying to record and not picking up and having to find the motivation to just solve it, figure that out. So now I do my yoga in the living room where it's like warm and the floors are like fake hardwood, so they're soft. Not soft, but they're softer than cement. And I just kind of put a blanket down, whatever. I create the zone. And now it's more conducive to me being like, okay, step 1 is get out of bed. Step 2 is get some water. Step 3 is take a couple deep breaths and accept that we're awake this early. And it's a lot more conducive to actually maintaining a regular practice and not procrastinating on it in the morning.
Yeah. You definitely inspired me to be more consistent in my morning too, because I'm like, oh, she's straight doing yoga in the morning. Like, get out of bed. I don't want to stretch first thing in the morning. I don't. I just have an aversion to it. No. I don't know. But then it's like, it's so funny because I'll ask my husband in the mornings, like, I'm like, do you want to go on a walk? And he's like, and I was like, walking is literally the easiest form of exercise and it's not even strenuous. So I'm like, why are you giving me grief about walking? And then I think about it and I'm like, well, I think asking to do any physical activity and you're not in the habit of doing it, you just think,
Yep.
But every time you're done, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. I feel so much better.
Yeah. And it motivates me to do other things too. Like I eat my daily banana, which I've talked about before. I choke that bad boy down first thing in the morning. It's so good for you, a banana a day. But I know that if I don't, halfway through the yoga practice, and I'm not even kidding you, it's like clockwork, I start to get a little hangry. And it's usually also the point where I do yoga with Adrienne. So, like, sometimes it's super chill. And then randomly she's like, all right, now lift that right foot up and just balance, center yourself on your left. Or whatever other foot I just said. And then it's usually that point where I'm like, well, it's early. And now I'm so streaming. Hungry. And yeah, and then I'm starting to feel a little hangry. And I kind of want to give up now. So I know I need to eat my banana. And then it always motivates me to drink water because I'm in the house where the heater's on, which kind of dries my throat out a little bit. So I have to drink water first thing in the morning, which helps improve digestion throughout the day. So it's like a whole thing where I really have to cherry pick out those benefits some mornings where I'm like, oh my gosh, I stayed up until midnight because I wanted to watch more Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Nine-Nine?
Yes. But yeah, then you take all those steps and all of a sudden, like, you've climbed to the top of the stairs and you're done. And you got your day started on the right or left foot.
Yep. One of the feet. It's early.
And that's so good. I think I think just taking a step of action really helps to create the motivation to keep going, because it's some days you wake up with motivation and some days you don't. And if you have something that you're procrastinating on and you don't get, like, the more you don't get started, the more stressed you get about it. And then if you get started and then you stop, then it's still on your mind just as if you didn't get started with it. So you're just creating like more stress on your brain, and then you just feel it creates more negative feelings and thoughts, and then you just keep holding on to those instead of learning, like leaning towards taking action and getting things accomplished. And I've done it my whole life. It's still a struggle. It's still, I don't talk about it to be like, oh yeah, you just do it and you get it done and you're good. It's like, no, it's a struggle. Like, it depends on what it is, and depending on what it is, it can make like life harder. Like I would do that with my car registration. And it was just like, I just don't want to go to the DMV. Like, I'm like, oh, I have to drive over there, and I have to take a long lunch break, or I have to ask for a half day, or like, I don't know. And so then I just push it off, and then it's like, oh, you can't be driving around with expired tags, girl. No.
Yep.
Well, the cops will not care about your excuses, so you will get a ticket. Do you want a suspended license? Like, no. No.
This could get bad.
Yeah, it could get real bad, real fast. So yeah, I mean, outlining it, taking a step to get started, asking someone for help to either, help keep you on track, or to just talk to someone about your goal also, like, helps you kind of get a little more clear on it. It's always nice to have someone else's feedback to also be like, well, yeah, if you just do this, then that'll make it easier. And it kind of gives you that good feeling of, yeah, this is achievable. I can do this. And I think that always helps me when I have stuff I'm trying to do.
I think it helps too, because you can also, by bouncing it off another person, you can also kind of identify what it is that's blocking you from actually starting. Like, what's the root cause of that procrastination? Sometimes it's minor, like just being too tired. Other times you might have something underlying going on, like stressors outside of it that you're also not addressing, and you have to address those before you can start. And sometimes procrastination is the first sign of burnout. It's the first sign of seasonal depression. There's a lot of things that can go into it. And we all do it. We all do it. Everyone that I've ever met has procrastinated in some kind of way. But in those moments, you almost feel like a failure or something. And you're like, oh, I just... and by bouncing it off of someone else, it's like, okay, I have clarity that, first of all, I'm not the only person that procrastinates. And then second of all, I can actually get a different perspective. And I think a lot of it is our perspective, which we talk about that all the time. Mm-hmm. Our perception is our reality. Our perspective is what shapes our decisions and our plans and what we do. And sometimes, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not perfect, and my perspective becomes so very limited when I've stressed on something. And having someone else come from the outside and be like, oh, no, I totally get what you're saying, but here's a different perspective. And all of a sudden the glass breaks and you're like, oh, okay, I'm out of my little glass case of emotion or suffering.
I love that. That was a nice Anchorman reference.
The bad man.
Trapped in the case of emotion. Glass case of emotion. I think he's in a phone booth.
Milk was a bad choice. There's so many from that movie. I could go on for days. But it's true. What you can have someone else come in from the outside and totally reshape the situation. And you can remold it into something completely different, or you can realize, like, oh, my plan maybe just isn't a good plan, or
yeah.
Sometimes it just gets me pumped up again, and I'm like, no, my plan's a great plan. I'm awesome. This is awesome. It's gonna be awesome, and now I feel awesome. So let's do this.
Yes, exactly.
So really, I guess what we're trying to say is
you can do it.
Yes, everyone procrastinates.
Absolutely.
Address why you're procrastinating. Mm-hmm. Create a plan. Mm-hmm. Maybe bounce that plan off of a friend, a trusted confidant, and then turn the planning phase into motivation and then action. And be careful of falling into slumps where you get defeated or you get overwhelmed, because all you have to do is look at that first step. Don't look at the whole staircase. First step, then the second step. It's funny. Fun little factoid. This is how I convince my daughter to clean her room. I swear.
Yeah.
She will do every other chore in this house. She's recently learned how to do laundry. She's 9, so she's getting older. She learned how to do laundry. She knows how to do the dishes with the dishwasher, without the dishwasher. She can fold, like, take out the trash, whatever. She does all kinds of chores. Her bedroom is, like, the one chore that she refuses. Like, she refuses. We go rounds. And a lot of time is me, like, threatening to do stuff that I don't actually do. Don't come at me for my parenting. Yes, I'm a pushover. But I will always eventually come back to it and be like, okay, here's how you can handle it. Because she gets overwhelmed because it's a lot. And so I just tell her, step 1, just go through and get all of the dishes. Like, if you have dishes in your room, gather those up first, put them in the kitchen. Step 2, get your laundry. Step 3, get the trash. And we go through these steps of, like, don't think about the whole room. And because she will also come at me with, well, how long do I need to clean for? And I'm like, no. This is not like a timed situation.
Till it's clean.
Right. You have a specific task.
You need to do the whole thing.
Right. In totality, my friend. But I have on multiple occasions, I have addressed it with exactly what we're talking about right now. It's funny how I can tell her to do it on a regular basis, and then I myself don't listen to my own advice.
Well, you're the only one holding yourself like accountable, so you're like, oh, Vanessa will be fine if I do this tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow Vanessa's gonna be totally fine, and then tomorrow Vanessa's like, hey, yesterday Vanessa, not cool, man. Not cool. Didn't love this. Don't love this at all. Stop telling people you prefer well under pressure.
So funny. That's true. I I do the same thing. I do the same thing to myself. I'll look at my room and I'm like, ugh. And I literally do that. I'm like, dishes are number 1, and then clothes are number 2. And that's half of my room. It's just dishes and clothes.
Well, and I think that's why it's so good to look at why, like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Because you'll find these bulk chunks that you can pull out and be like, all right, this is what we do first, and then this. And you and I have been doing this for almost a year now with this podcast, where it's like, okay, we know, we have a vision, a book plan. How do we do that?
Yeah. How do we get our audio out there?
Yeah. Record? How?
Record? How? I mean, how, though? I don't...
Yeah. But how, though? It's so
and
true,
then
though.
Google is like, there's 1,000 ways how. You can even do it from your phone. And you're like, no. It can't be that easy.
No. But let me look up more ways. I just need to make sure I've done my due diligence.
Yeah.
Planning 7 hours later.
Yeah, and I think we've recorded like 5 different ways over.
Yes.
If not more.
Yep.
I feel like almost every other episode we're like, how do we make this better? How do we record better? And now, I think our most recent episodes are our best episodes, so.
Yeah, we're really getting this thing down. And no one has reached out, good or bad, so I feel
I think we're doing pretty good, right?
Yeah, and we know you guys are listening because we can see it. Thank you, by the way.
Yes, thank you
Did
so
you
much
see?
for listening.
And I just want to make a quick comment before we wrap the episode up, but we reached 4 different countries this year, which is so cool.
That is so mind-blowing to me.
I know.
I I'm like sitting in a bedroom right now and I'm like, people are listening to me in like other places? Really?
Yeah.
And I really like, I think it's really cool because it's like there's so many different people, lifestyles, and cultures out there, and to think that I can, reach other people and hopefully they like, listening to us giggle and talk about stuff that we have going on in our lives and just situations that like we encounter every day, like procrastination that affects everyone. It's really cool. It's really cool that that people can even find us.
Yeah. And I love, because at the end of the day, I think I want our main message to be, and I say let's just end it on this, we're all human. The things we talk about, they're all human issues. That's just, it is what it is. And we've got this. Drink water, make a plan. You've got it.
Take baby steps.
Take baby steps. And be gentle on yourself, dang it.
Yeah.
It's been a hard year.
Yeah,
It's been hard for everyone. All over the world. So take it easy on yourself. You're doing awesome. Just pushing play on our episode. I mean, it takes a lot just to try to absorb somebody else for 30 minutes. So,
True.
True. You guys are so awesome.
Thank you. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Gain and Glow, our Feel Good podcast. I'm Vanessa.
I'm Crystal. Take a deep breath. You got this.
Yeah. Until next time, guys. Thanks.
Bye.